Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are you guys doing? Welcome to another Monday night. Welcome to Cliff Notes Live, episode number, I think, 233. I put on a teaser 133. Yeah, I'll go fix it later. I don't know. I'm old fat fingers. Sometimes they're a little tough on the keyboards. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Before we go any further, a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love the summertime because the summertime means Big Brother. And I love you guys that share so many passions with me for reality TV and everything else that brings y'all here on a Monday evening. And those of you who watch on replay as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's always fun hanging out with you guys. We're going to get right into it. If you haven't already done so, please consider turning on subscriptions. Turn on as many as you want. Turn on, sign up. Subscribe to as many as you want. But if you do Cliff Notes Live, I'm A-okay with that. Please consider subscribing to Cliff Notes Live, turning on notifications, and maybe hitting the old thumbs up as well. I like the thumbs up, so I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate all the support y'all give me just by coming out here every week. It means a lot to me. I love hanging out with you guys. All right. It's that time of year. We're getting that. What are we, 3 weeks out or now? Big Brother's getting closer and closer. We're going to talk about that tonight, but kind of an open night as well. We'll talk about rumors and other reality. If y'all got anything else that y'all want to talk about, hit me with it this evening. I'm ready for, I was going to say anything. Maybe not anything, but a lot of stuff. All right, let me see who's out here real quick, and then we will get right into it. Audrey Cobb, first one in. Audrey, how are you doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. Lee Strack as well. Howdy, Lee. Ma. Howdy, 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 Mom. Marilyn Sutherland as well. Brian Hossetter. I love seeing all these names out here. Big Jake 88. Howdy, Big Jake. Let's see who else. Mark Taylor as well. Y'all just be out here chatting away. Karen Hummer, Laura Lewis. Ed's out here. Howdy, Ed. Patricia Miller, Desiree Watts, Amanda, Carol Mosier. Let's see. Who else? Tina Harlan Sandstedt. Let's see, Kennedy Franklin. Kennedy, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a while. I hope you're doing fantastic. Colleen as well. Paul Long. Howdy, Paul. And I'm going through this quick. Carol Mosier, I may say it before, and I'll say it again. And is that about it? Working. Cash Wash. I didn't want to miss you, Cash Wash. Chaz as well. And Wyatt Garrett. Wyatt, howdy. Martina Williams as well. God, I know all these names out here. Misfire as well. Oreo Hall. Hey, Oreo, how are you, my friend? And I think that's about it. All right, guys. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. I had seen as I was going through here a couple of comments. I'm going to try to go find them again real quick. First of all, Ma, welcome. Say goodbye to teenage years. Welcome to the next stage of life, right? Congratulations on being 20 years old, which, as I've said before, means one more year and you're ready for Big Brother 28. Yeah, I'm gonna be holding you. I'm gonna be pushing you for that. All right, and then who else do we have on here? There was another one I was looking for. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I'm going through a set. There you go. Karen Hummer. Missed you last week. Just had a hip replacement. Staying positive like I always do. It's the way you got to do it. Keep the smile on your face. Now I know that's no fun. Being cooped up, you're not real mobile with the hip replacement, right? The main thing is just keep thinking about how great it's going to be once that hip's all healed up and working. You're going to be like the Bionic Man. You'll be running 60 miles an hour and we'll be playing the sound effects behind you and everything. You don't need all of that. Just a functioning hip is always a good thing. I'm amazed at what they can do orthopedics nowadays. So congratulations. My only question to you, Karen, well, I was going to say, why didn't you wait till Big Brother started so you had a perfect excuse just to be in front of the TV 24 hours a day? But when it comes to walking and all that, yeah, you don't want to wait. So congratulations on having your hip surgery. And I'm glad I get to spend a little time keeping you entertained while maybe you're laid up and waiting for the recovery. So congratulations, Ma, for the birthday. Congratulations, Karen, for the brand new hip. That's incredible, isn't it? We'll just put a new one in. Don't worry about it. We'll just pretty soon we'll be like nothing but moving parts and machinery from top to bottom, and yeah, maybe we'll live forever. I don't know if I want to live forever, but we'll go for a while. So we'll see. All right, let's see what we've got going. Sharon says, let's stop with that kind of conversation. All right, Brian Hustler. What's the key to success on Big Brother? All right, is this a little coded something or other? Marilyn Sutherland saying, love the key thing. Hope they bring back the key box. All right, Marilyn, I hadn't thought of that until you mentioned it. That would be incredible. For those of you who don't know, and I don't know if it came out today. I just saw it today. Julie Chen or CBS put out a new little teaser. It's got Julie Chen posing in front of a wall full of keys. They're all the old skeleton-looking keys that some are facing one way, some are the other. They all look old. I saw them. First ones I saw was, oh, those look like bats on the top of the keys. But I think they're just standard old-fashioned kind of keys. But she had a lot of them, and she and the producers had little comments about, I think Entertainment Weekly had run some kind of story, and they all had these things about, don't stay locked in the dark on this, and the key to understanding and things like that. So I don't know. It maybe ties in more. And Brian's saying, think it could be the twin twist. Oh, two keys are the same? Could be. They have had twin twists for a while, right? I don't know what I would have done if there'd been a twin. Oh, what if there'd been two cats in my season? I don't know if I could have handled two cats. That would have been more silliness than I can handle. There's a whole lot of people. I'm not sure if I could handle twins of anyone in my season. That would have been interesting. Could be. I do like the idea of the key box as well. For those of you who may not remember the old school days, nowadays you turn the keys. You carry out the little box and you turn the key, and the name flashes up on the screen and all. In the old days, you had a wheel, and someone would, all the keys were in, one person would turn a key, take it out, and it'd show someone who was safe. Then they pass it to the next person. They'd turn a key. I think the person who was safe would then turn the next key. So finally, there are like 3 or 4 keys, and there's only 3 or 4 people who aren't safe. So the odds are starting to get worse and worse as you get there towards the end. So it really built up the drama. I guess they just decided that it took too long to do it like that. So they went away from it. But a lot of us miss the old key wheels. It would be cool to do. When I did the show, it was so funny. When I was HOH, there were so many rules about those keys. They said, make sure when you turn the key, don't put your fingers in front of the key so that you cover up the big brother on the key. They said, turn it from the side so that because the camera is going to be zoomed in. So make sure that they can see big brother when you turn the key, and turn it nice and slowly and all that. It's like, all right, I get it. We'll do all of that. All I was thinking is, I wish I had some, I wish I could go and get a pedicure or something. And not pedicure, that wouldn't help turning the keys, would it? A manicure. But, oh well. Yeah, I didn't worry too much about that while I was in there. But anyway, yeah, it could be that. It kind of ties in well with the whole top secret spy, whatever it may be. We saw Julie posing with a top secret dossier the badge to get in. It does make me wonder. In the past few seasons, we've had the have not room that was used for during my season before as a have not room. It was used as a camp comeback room and all that. I think it's been a while. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since we've had that room up there locked away and no one had access to it. I'm kind of ready for one of those seasons where, do you remember there's one season where there was a phone booth and you had to figure out the right number to enter. And once you did, then a panel opened up and you could go into the whatever they called the room at that point in time. Be kind of cool to have that as a secret room again, a secret lair. What if this is like a Batman theme or some kind of superhero theme, and that's your headquarters, your hideouts, your Spectre headquarters or something? That'd be kind of cool. It would be a cool theme to do with. They do all these teasers, and to some degree, I kind of got to the point of saying, whatever. It's too subtle. I can't figure it out, but it does do a good job of getting me more and more excited throughout this entire month for the season coming up. I'm ready for it. I did a podcast yesterday called Cracked Reality. We talked a little bit about Big Brother. So if you get a chance, go out there and check that out. But just starting to talk to people about it. Perfect time of the year. So yeah, I'm ready for it. I don't know what that keys mean. And I didn't hear any answers that were any giveaways that I could understand. We'll see if we figure out more as we go through it. All right, Mark Taylor is saying 4 weeks to go. 4 weeks. Is that not incredible? Are the final 16 picked yet for Big Brother? Very good question. Knowing when I got snatched, and it could be up to a week and a half or so before the season, but then adding a little bit more because I'm sure there's still some COVID protocols they go through and all of that. I assume so. Wouldn't you think so? And not just COVID. I think probably producers are more cognizant of any kind of illness. You don't want to have someone with the flu that gets into that house day number one infects everyone else, right? That'd be horrible. So I think there's probably some protocols for any kind of illness, including COVID. So maybe stretch it out to 2 weeks, which means they may not quite be there yet. I would say we're already in the middle of June. I'm thinking probably another week, maybe 2 weeks. I could see the July 1st. I don't even know what day that is now, but I could see somewhere right around now, 2 weeks from now, that they're starting to snatch people and bring them over there. You don't want people stuck in sequester too long. So no, I don't think they've grabbed anyone yet. I don't think anyone knows for certain that they're on the show yet. I do think that production at this point, they've got their 16 people picked out. They've got their 2, 3, 4. I assume there's probably about 4 alternates. I don't know that for certain, but I assume about 4. They've probably got their alternates already picked. They're already lining up film crews to go out and film in all the different contestants' hometowns. They're trying to work out schedules of when they're going to do different people, all that kind of stuff. And so we'll, it's well in motion. When they did mine, I don't remember what day it was. They were going to come out and film my little intro. I still didn't know I was on the show. I still hadn't found my key, and I truly thought probably, but no, I don't know for certain. But they were going to come out, I think, on like a Tuesday. And it was the worst situation because my daughter had a huge project that presenting for massive numbers of people on that Tuesday. And I felt so bad about it that because I wanted her and my son and my wife to be part of the experience and all that. But I talked to the producers, the people I was working with, the coordinators. I said, look, is there any way we can do it someday other than Tuesday? I said, yeah, let's see what they can do. And they called around, they worked around, they came back, said, yeah, we're going to do it on Wednesday instead. You're good. And I was so grateful. From that point, it really is cool. The production knows what a major deal it is. I mean, the house, playing the game, the stress, all that, but it's a major deal for the family and everyone to get snatched away and go on that show. So they really tried to work well with the family and all. And I've always been grateful for that. So yeah. I remember these days well 5 years ago. That's incredible. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Mark is saying, how was Cliff in his season at 30 days into the big show? Well, let's see. 30 days into the big show, I wasn't doing so bueno because Nicole, day 30, Nicole and I were on the block together. Hated that. I hated that one. We were both on the block. I remember Nicole and myself and David and Kimmy and Ovi getting together in a group of 5 and saying, look, after tonight, 3 of us are going to be gone. There's only going to be 2 of us left. Whoever ends up left, we got to work together. We're the underdogs. No one cares about us. That's why we're in this position. We've got to try to work together. And so the 5 of us kind of said, yeah, whatever it takes, we'll try to make it work. And from personal reasons, yeah, it was hard, but and then day 30, I got blindsided and did not know I was getting voted out until right before the vote. Everyone started voting, and Tommy looked at me and gave me a look, and just I could tell the way he was looking at me. I just could tell, but it all worked out. It worked out for Nicole, and I felt so bad for David and Kimmy and Ovi. It was tough knowing that my game was going forward at the expense of their games. Now, yes, I understand there can only be one. In the end, that's just the way it goes. But you still hate to have people that you know that their game is over and they're feeling bad, and it's a whole bunch of them all at once. And day 30 was a rough night. But at the very end of night 30, I did win a little HOH competition called Patch Perfect. And I'd like to think I put the fear of God into the 6 shooters, the undeniable, whatever they wanted to call themselves at that point in time. I'd like to think that I got a little bit nervous on that particular night. I know I did. And I love it. Crazy night. It just shows how much things can change from start to finish in a game of Big Brother. God, night number 30, Survivor's already over. Night number 30 for Big Brother, hell, we haven't even reached jury phase yet. So certainly 2 different games, aren't they, in terms of length and endurance and everything else that's involved in that game. Yeah, I remember night number 30 fondly. Yeah, you watch a show and everyone memorizes, and you see at the end, everyone memorizes day 22, they've got every single date memorized. I did at this point in time after 5 years, I don't know every single night, but I know most of the nights. I know on which night so and so was evicted from the house on so and so night. That was when this nomination occurred. I've got all the main ones still trapped on my head. Who knows what important information got pushed out of the way so I could remember that trivial stuff. But I spent so much time sitting there trying to memorize it over and over and over again, and now I'm just stuck with it. Uh, yeah, nothing to do but memorize while you're in that house. All right, let's see. What else do we have on here? Let's see, hold on a second. All right, Karen Loveland. Let me hold on. I'll get yours in a second, Karen. Ed's saying Traitor season 4 cast drop. Rob has to have a big advantage, wouldn't you think? He knows a lot of people, right? Then Marilyn Sutherland saying excited for Traitors. I am too. Colleen totally excited for Traitors, and I think was there one other? Carolyn Chaz was saying, what do you think of the cast for Traitor season 4? I like it. I'm fine with it. It would have been cool if I was in it, but yeah, I'm not going to be bitter, petty. There's a lot of people to choose from. Someday it'd be fun to do, but no, I like the cast. Tiffany from Big Brother, she was. I mean, Xavier was great, and I've met Xavier, great guy and all that. But I really think, in a lot of ways, Tiffany was. She was a strategic beast in that game, and I think in other seasons she could have won the whole thing. So I'm curious to see how Tiffany does in Traitors. I'm very curious to see how Ian Terry does. He's also Big Brother, and I just don't know. Ian is so straightforward and so logical, and we'll see. How would he do if he was cast as a traitor, where he has to be very devious? I don't know whether that would be easy for him or hard for him. I don't know, but I think it's going to be great to see. I'm trying to remember who else was in there. Rob, sister Nino. Yeah, I think he's got a huge advantage because he's such a presence in the reality world. But does that hurt him? That people may, because everyone is probably going to know him in there, may see him as an early threat that they want to get out while they can. I don't know. It could go either way. I think it's always interesting, Traitors, because you've got people from so many different shows. You've got Real Housewives, you've got some dating shows, you've got the real estate shows on Bravo, Below Decks. You just have a lot of different networks that are doing that Traitors. You've always got someone from RuPaul as well, which is always very interesting. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun cast, another fun season to watch. So I am absolutely ready for that. All right, now before we do other questions, have y'all heard? I saw a rumored cast for The Floor season 3 or 4, whatever is coming up next. Do y'all watch The Floor? It's reality, but it's a little bit more game show as well. You start off with, I think, 100 people, maybe 64, a bunch of people standing on squares. Every person has their topic of interest, and you go head to head at the front against one other person, and you have to use someone's topic of interest, and they just flash graphics up on the screen, and you go back and forth answering a question, naming what that tool is, things like that. And whoever runs out of time first loses and goes home. So eventually you start off with a big group and you go smaller and smaller, and it's a cool show. Sharon and I watch it. We enjoy watching it. It's fun to play along watching it. But they revealed the new cast coming out, and theoretically, there's a lot of reality TV people on there. Now, I don't know that it's accurate at all. No clue whatsoever. I just saw it this afternoon. I did see Johnny Fairplay was listed on there. Sandra Diaz from Survivor was listed on there as well. From my season of Big Brother, Tommy Bracco, David Alexander were both listed. And again, I don't know if it's valid. It could be completely someone's imagination run amok. So I don't know. I was laughing though, thinking, all right, those two guys, what would their topics, what would their specialties be? For Tommy, it would have to be Broadway shows, right? It got to be Broadway. For David, as much as he works out and does the CrossFit and all that, I would think athletics or physical fitness would be perfect for him. It'd be funny if one of them had something completely off the wall, cruise ship logos or something. I don't know, but yeah, I have no idea if it's valid or not, but it is cool seeing some of the people I know doing some very different kind of shows going forward. So yeah, I'm excited. Traitors 4 will be fun. They've got a couple of figure skaters on there, Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski, I think. I did see a thing saying that Traitors 4 will probably premiere about the time the Winter Olympics are coming on. I forgot about Winter Olympics, but it's coming up. So yeah, there'll be a lot to get our attention coming up before too long at all. But before that, we got Big Brother. We got an amazing race with a bunch of Big Brother folks. We got another Survivor. It's going to be a fun last half of the year. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Karen Loveland saying, oh, watch your background. I don't know what. I think I saw the keys and I saw them all being sneaky and everything. So yeah, my background is supposed to be a dragon, I think. I was going to try to do the Iron Throne. I ended up doing a dragon instead. My little teaser for the show was Big Brother 27 is coming, thinking of winter is coming. So yeah, and the music was Game of Thrones. I just figured tonight, all Game of Thrones focused. I absolutely love those books. George R.R. Martin, fantastic author. A little slow sometimes writing. I wish he'd finish it up, but loved his books. Avoided the TV show, thinking I'm going to finish all the books, then I'll watch the TV show. Well, he still hadn't finished a book, so eventually I had to watch his show. Kind of petered out at the end a little bit, but I still just love the intrigue. I really thought of Big Brother as being kind of a microcosm of Game of Thrones. You got your different kingdoms that all are fighting different things, and it's all this political intrigue and people sabotaging each other and getting people out. Of course, a little more violent in Game of Thrones than Big Brother, but at the end of the day, they're gone either way, right? Yeah, we had our own version of the Red Wedding in Big Brother on day 44, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. I just got a thought in my head about Game of Thrones, and the music's going through my mind, so I figured I'd use that as a background. I love it. All right, Ed saying, what do you think of Genius Game now that it's concluded? All right, here's the deal. I went in very excited about the Genius Game. I watched the South Korean version, which was tough because trying to understand the rules while I'm also reading the dubbed in languages, and it's just a little difficult at times to follow it. So I was very excited about the UK version and watching all of them play the game. I like it. I like the concept of a game that has no physical attribute. It is purely a mental challenge. It's like 4D chess, as they say. It's all about the strategy of figuring this out and working with other people and convincing people to do what you want them to do. The concept's fantastic. The games, I think, were fun, but there were several games that I had a hard time understanding all the rules until after the fact. There were some that, because it was introduced in an hour-long format, I couldn't figure out a strategy before it was already said and done. You know, give it 30 minutes for the first challenge, 30 minutes for the second one, plus or minus. I kind of wish there was some way, and I don't know how to do this. I kind of wish there was some way where they said, this is the next game, and these are going to be the rules. If they introduced it like the episode before or something, so then I'd have a whole period of time to think about, how would I do that? What could I do differently? Because there were a lot of competitions where people came up with strategies that sometimes they didn't work at all, but sometimes after they got done, it's like, wow, that is brilliant. I didn't think of that little loophole. I didn't figure that part out. So I liked it. I just, at the end, I just didn't get to play along as much as I wanted to. Maybe I'm not genius level, so I couldn't figure it out well enough. Maybe you give me a whole week and I still don't figure out their strategies. But I felt like that was the kind of show almost that you need to have it twice as long and a whole lot more conversation. Because that's the other thing. Some of the things, they kind of covered it up, so you didn't know until after the fact that certain people had made agreements with each other. So they wanted to keep an element of surprise, but as a result, it made it somewhat confusing watching sometimes. I did hear, unfortunately, the ratings, because this was a BBC show, the ratings were apparently horrible, did not do well. There was talk about a Genius Game for the US as well, and I'm not sure that's going to happen now. So that may be the end of it, which is unfortunate because I think you could do some fun things with it. In all candidates, I think here in the US and elsewhere, we don't watch these normally to just go crazy trying to figure out how it works. We just want to watch some lighthearted entertainment. We just want to watch people yelling at each other, right? So yeah, maybe maybe Genius was too cerebral for any of us, and that's why no one really enjoyed it. But I like the concept. Just maybe didn't quite work out the way I had hoped it would. Having said that, if they had another season, I'd watch another season. Some of those games were incredible. Some of those games I actually want to play with my family at some point in time and see if we could replicate it and see how people would do. So it was fun. All right, what do we have on here? Uh, Oreo Hall. I love that name, Oreo. I asked, yeah, Oreo Hall. That's fantastic. Oreo Hall, are you ready for the new season? Well, yeah, of course I am. And then let's see, we'll do this. Yeah, absolutely, Oreo. I watch. I guess I watch Big Brother 26. By the end, it's like, all right, you're getting a little tired. You could wrap up the last couple of weeks in a couple of days, and I would have been fine. Took the winter break to hibernate to get a little refreshed up. And now we finished Survivor. We finished Amazing Race. So it's all about Big Brother. Yeah, heck yeah, man. I'm ready for it. Fantastic. All right, Hunter Green. Hunter, how are you, sir? Man, it sucks. I'm not going to be on Big Brother 27. Well, I kind of agree with you, Hunter. I think you would have been fun on there. And I'm holding out hope. You got plenty of years ahead of you. And I think Big Brother's got plenty of years ahead of them as well. So many an opportunity, and I think you could get on there and yeah, you'd shake things up. I'd love to see you on there, Hunter. So keep the positive attitude. There's lots of people who tried out many a year, and all it takes is one time. Heck, people play the lottery for their whole lives, and it takes one winning ticket to get you in there. So keep it up. Just keep every time you try something just a little bit different and see what happens. All right. Oreo Hall is also saying, if everything goes the way I want, you'll be watching me next year on Big Brother. All right. Well, Oreo and Hunter. Yeah. Y'all kind of seen each other out here. Yeah. You may or may not. You'll know the names. I mean, Hunter Green, Oreo Hall. I feel like y'all can remember those names. If you get in the hall, I can't imagine that if you get in the house, there's going to be someone else named Oreo. So, Hunter, keep that in mind. If someone in there is named Oreo, and Oreo, if you see someone in there who very much looks like a PBR cowboy, y'all make it happen. You work together. I'd love to see both you on there. Yeah, y'all know I've said it a million times plus so far. Someone who watches Cliff Notes Live needs to get in that house just so I can get even more passionate than I already am about watching that game. It was so fun. Even with COVID and everything else going on, it was so fun watching Nicole and David the season after mine, even though it was very stressful, almost more stressful watching than actually playing the game. But so cool when you watch someone play the game that you actually know. And it just gives you that little extra incentive to just absolutely be a fanatic about the game. So, all right, Oreo Hunter, I'm marking it down the list. 2 slots gone. We got 14 more to go. We got more than 14 people out here in the chat, so we'll just make it a clean sweep. Wouldn't that be fun? Now, if they do that, CBS better bring me back as some kind of, I don't know, Big Brother god, or I don't know. Yeah, they're not going to do that. Let me just run through the house cheering everyone up every once in a while. I'll have fun with it, and we'll have our own little party. All right, Tina, sorry. Let me fix my glass there. Tina Harlan Sunset saying, Julie's hair reminded me of Agent 99 on the original Get Smart. Key Wheel and food comps can both come back. I'd love to see food comps. I'd absolutely so incredibly fun if they had food comps come back. Get rid of the have-not oatmeal. I don't think it does what it used to do. I'd be fine if they had food comps where you win foods that you're stuck with just bland stuff otherwise, and you have to win your delicacies. I was in there. Some of the meats and the fish that they had in that house were incredible. The fanciest fish, the fanciest cuts of steaks and all of that. And unfortunately, a lot of it went to waste because they would clean out the fridge once a week. And at least during my season, there were a few people who were kind of not food snobs, food bosses. They like to control everything that was going in and out of that refrigerator. And I wasn't going to make waves by griping about it too much. I was like, fine. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with my bologna sandwich at night and my fried egg in the morning. I'm not going to make waves about it. But there were certainly some people in my season who like to be the ones in charge of the food and cooking the food and picking what was going to be served and all that. And what you going to do? But I remember on those Thursday nights, right before the storage room locked and we knew everything was going to get switched out and stuff, seeing some of that food, just thinking, I don't normally go to the grocery store and buy $80 cuts of fish and things like that. So I missed my chance. I could have been the Bobby Flay in there doing all kinds of fancy stuff. I think it's dangerous when you cook in there. On the one hand, I think if you're a good cook, then people may, I don't know if they keep you longer, but at least they would appreciate you being in the house. If you get there, you overestimate your capabilities and you cook something that's not so great, and everyone, worst comes to worst, everyone gets food poisoning. May help you on the next HOH competition, but beyond that, you may be up the creek. But yeah, it was wild in that house. I was never went hungry while I was in there. There was certainly a wide choice of food, but we had people paying attention. Yeah, and a lot of food focus during my season. Maybe that's every season because you don't have that much else to think about while you're in there. All right, Karen Loveland, what was the scenario of you finding your key? And then Misfire saying, how many hours does it take to film you on getting your key? All right, let me give you a little discussion on that. They had told me, called out, said, Cliff, look, you're still not guaranteed to be on the show. Now, obviously, there's a chance you're going to be on the show, and you need to be packed. And they had already told me that you may want to arrange with your bosses just in case. So there's a lot of things that made me think, I'm pretty sure. I knew this. I knew they were going to be taking me out to LA. Now, was I going to be on the show or was I going to be an alternate? That I did not know. I figured being the old guy, they weren't going to have two old guys in a single season. So I didn't figure I was really a good suitable alternate. So I thought there was a good chance that I actually was going to be on the show, but I didn't know for certain. But they called and said, Cliff, we want to film you, based on what you've told us. It's all about family and maybe outdoors. We know you work in the oil field. Is there some an oil rig that we could film on or something that looks like the oil industry? And I told him, I said, well, here's the issue with the oil industry. They aren't going to let a bunch of film crew out in any of these places. Those are dangerous places. There's flammable oil and gas. Everyone's wearing hard hats. Everyone's very safety conscious. There's things that could hurt you all over the floor of a drilling rig. So they're not going to let y'all up there in that kind of place. But we did find a place called the Ocean Star, which is a oil drilling museum down in Galveston, Texas, kind of an offshore rig that they've turned into a museum. I said, they may let you do it there. And so they said, all right, we'll check. We'll let you know. And then I said, there's a park down the street from me that opens up into kind of a bayou, a freshwater marshland area. It's great. Well, you can go fishing there. There's gators everywhere. I showed them a sign that said, please do not feed the gators. Keep your young children and pets away from the shoreline because there are gators in this water. And they thought that was incredibly cool. So by the time they actually flew out, they said, all right, Cliff, we're going to come pick you and your family up at early in the morning. And we went down. They said, we just want to do some shots of y'all all fishing and laughing and having fun with each other. All right, we can do that. So while we were fishing and everything, they told me at one point, said, Cliff, can you change out your tackle? Can you change out your hook on your fishing pole? So we can see you doing that and showing your son how you do it. And I said, yeah, sure. And so when I bent down and opened up the tackle box, my key was in the tackle box. And I was so focused on just having fun with my family and making sure they were part of the process. I kind of had forgotten about that finding the key was part of it. And I think I also thought it was going to be much later in the day. So I really wasn't thinking about it. So when I looked down and saw the key, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a key. It's a key. They said, yeah, Cliff, you're going to go on Big Brother. And so I jumped around and hugged my family. I said, is that it? And they said, yeah, no, we don't need another take. That was perfect. Occasionally I found out later. Sometimes I have to do a second take because someone, curses or turns their back and you can't see them well or something like that. And you have to recreate it. For me, no. They said, yeah, we're good. Well, goodbye, everyone. Now, they didn't do that. But you know what they did? They said, all right, Cliff, you are on Big Brother. We still want to do some more filming, but you are on Big Brother. And I said, okay, well, that's cool with me. And they said, give us your cell phone. Really? Yeah, this very second, give us your cell phone, Cliff. I mean, within 15 seconds of me finding the key of them stopping filming, I had to give them my cell phone so I couldn't, I guess, call or send a text to anyone. Yeah, I had family there, but they said, "No, cell phone go. You aren't talking to anyone else. It's not right here, right now, Cliff." So, all right. So we filmed a little bit more. My family then, once they got that done, they took off. They filmed a lot more shots of me sitting on the bridge with my boots pulled up with the Texas flag on my boots and me talking about all the countries I'd been to and how I'm going to be the smart guy in the house. I'm going to outwit everyone, and did a lot of that. And then we drove down to Galveston, shot a lot of scenes on the oil rig of me on the bottom. Like, let's make some hole and doing some stuff you do on the oil rigs and all that, wearing my coveralls. Shot all of that. They brought me back to my house. My bag was already packed. Had a final goodbye with all my family, gave them all hugs. They filmed me outside getting in the car, and I was gone to the airport right then and there. And that was that. So it was a full day, close to a full day worth of filming, but truly from the time I found out I was going into the house to 5 or 6 hours later, I was on a plane heading out the door. So it's a lot quicker. It's as quick as it seems to be on the show. Now, I know in the old days, I used to show someone quickly going in trying to pack and all that. No, I was already packed. I already had a good feeling I was going in the house. But yeah, as soon as they announced it, I was under their control, and that was the end of everything. It was hard saying goodbye to my family. In fact, I didn't look back. I didn't look behind as we were driving away. I just kind of waved out the window and thought, gosh, I may be back in just a couple of weeks, but if I'm really lucky, I could be back in 3.5 months with a big old paycheck in my pocket too. I ended up somewhere in the middle. So it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, it was an incredible day. I'm so happy my family got to share that part of it with me and be part of the overall deal and the game and all that. Let's see what else we've got on here. Hunter saying, I will say the only thing you're allowed to bring in the house is a Bible. I would use Proverbs to remember what day it was in the house. Hey, let me tell you a little story about having a Bible in the house. I knew that you were allowed. There is a house Bible, but you can bring your own religious documents. And so my son had given me a very small Bible, and I took that in with me. And I use that in a couple of different ways. One, I wrote some things on the front page talking about how honored I was to be a father and a husband, and the love of family was so important to me. And I just wrote some things on the front page, and just may have happened to leave that in some of the main rooms every once in a while for people to discover my Bible, because you're bored, you just want to read something. And so I did leave the Bible around a couple of times for a couple of key people. Remember Sam used his veto on me on week 1. I may have left the Bible in the boat room when I knew he was getting ready to come in there and visit with Nick at one point in time. And so, yeah, he saw it. I'd like to think maybe that helped a little bit, just because I knew Sam was a dad. I was trying to connect with him dad to dad. So I made sure I had written some stuff. Now, I didn't know he was going to be in there, but I figured there'd be at least a couple parents in the house. So I'd written some things like that in the front of the Bible, the front page. But then the other thing I had done is I took a little pencil and didn't write. I drew lines on the corners of a whole bunch of pages, so that once I got in the house on day number 6, whacktivity took place, my whacktivity. So I turned to page number 6. I folded over the corner and pointed it towards, I don't remember, I pointed to an S, a capital S, which stood for smell-o-vision, because we did smelling competitions. Day number 30 or day number 44, Sam's evicted. So on day number 44, I folded over the corner and had that pointed at the first word I could find that had an S and an A, one after the other, and had it pointed to that. So that was my memory prompt to help me remember everything that happened throughout the whole season. Would be folding over the page to certain events that took place. The top right corner was for nominations. The bottom right corner was for evictions. And then the left-hand pages, I don't remember how to do it. Anyway, I had it all figured out at the time. As it turns out, I kind of memorized it enough because I did it over and over again. It's kind of like when you're in school and they say, yeah, you can write out a cheat sheet on a note card. Well, by the time you write all that stuff on a note card, you kind of know it already. But yeah, that was my little help, just to help assist me figure it out. So yeah, Nothing against Bibles and God and everything else. I mean, I truly had it to read as well, but I figured what better way than to have God, the Bible, helping me out a little bit with some of this information. So yeah, there were also some ulterior motives involved in that. There were people in my season. Nick was one of them who spent a lot of time reading the Bible, and it's not because he was so invested into it. I mean, maybe he was, but I think it was his way of avoiding conversations when he didn't want to have conversations with people, when he was trying to avoid having to have conversations with Christy and certain people. So yeah, there's always an ulterior motive to everything you do in there, it seems like. Let's see what else we've got in here. Let's go so quick. Clinton Merchant. Clinton, how are you, sir? Clinton saying, Entertainment Weekly found out Big Brother's trying to drop a clue with keys for theme of the season. Yeah, we talked about it a second ago, Clinton, and I would appreciate any thoughts that you've got on what those clues may be. I heard that they talked to Julie and they talked to Rich Meehan and maybe Allison Grodner, and they all said, "Yeah, oh, it's unlock don't be locked in the dark, or it's the keys to the game or whatever." I don't know. The key wheel I think could be great. Could certainly be something they're hinting at. We talked about that it could be twins. I don't think keys. I was thinking, what words have keys? Monkeys? Maybe it's going to be a monkey theme. I don't. Donkeys. Maybe it's going to be monkeys versus donkeys or something in some competition. I don't know. You can take this to the extreme, but I don't know. It'll all tie in together, and once it does, we'll say, "Oh yeah." Of course, there's been some seasons where the clues kind of made sense. Other seasons, the netherworld and all that, where it's like, yeah. Last season with the AI, I think we kind of figured out it had some kind of an AI theme, and near as I can tell, it just sure seems like like some kind of top secret thing. And who is it? I forgot who it was that talked about Agent 99. See, I wasn't even paying attention to Julie's hairstyle. That's Sharon probably noticed. I did not notice, but that is a high level of detail that you even picked up on that. And I'm going to be watching bottom of her shoes to see if there's shoe phones hidden away in there or something like that. At this day and age, it wouldn't be hard at all to have a little shoe phone hidden away. They did, going into the house and coming out. They patted us down. They inspect every bit of our clothing and our luggage and everything to make sure that we didn't go in there with some little hidden communication device of some sort. They really were worried about that, or at least be proactively making sure that wasn't the case. I made the mistake at one point of saying, "Yeah, I've got a burner phone." What do you mean you've got a burner phone, Cliff? It's like I'm a drug lord or something. And I said, "No, I just mean I didn't want to leave my good phone here locked away for 3.5 months. It's at home, so my family can get into it if they need for, whatever." So they've got control over all that. Since I just bought a disposable phone and brought out here just so after the season I can talk and coordinate and all that. It's okay, but you don't have anything else, right? And no, I'm not going to sneak anything into the house. Said, okay, well, you said burner. We just wanted to double check. So they do pay attention to that. All right, Miss Fire saying, I forgot. My quiz show airs this Friday at 5 p.m. on NBC Washington. All right. I actually, with all the stuff that was going on this weekend, the protests, the parades, and everything else, I actually saw one of the Washington channels that I had some live feeds for. I wonder if I still have them. I'm going to be checking. Congratulations. I'm going to be watching. And if for some reason I can't get access to it, I'm going to find a replay of it somewhere. And I want to hear the whole scoop when we get done with it. That's so cool. I hope, I know you can't say, but I hope you had fun with it. And I hope you did well. And I'll be watching, cheering you on. Trust me on that. Let's see what else. Miss Fire saying, would you be a faithful or a traitor? And Colleen saying, would love to see you on Traitors. I would be either one, obviously. And if someone ever recruited me in the middle of the night and said, hey, look, I know you're faithful, but you can either leave the game or you can be a traitor, I'd be saying, well, welcome aboard the traitor train, because I do whatever it takes to not head out the door in this game or any other. I would do either. I think it would be fun to be a traitor, because I think I would surprise people. I think when I played the game of Big Brother, to a certain extent, I played a game relying on people thinking that I was honest and could be trusted when I made promises and things like that. And so there was a certain element to the way I played that game of Big Brother. And I think some people, well, I mean, I was going to say, I'm like that in real life, but I would have been willing to do differently in the game. It just worked to my advantage, as it turns out, to play that particular strategy. But I think a lot of people assume because of that, maybe I would play every game the same way. So, which makes me think if I was picked as a traitor, I maybe would be able to fool people a little bit better. I think people would, if you had to make an assumption one way or the other, I think people would probably assume that I was a faithful just because I'm walking around with a smile. And I don't know. The question is, how well can you lie? And I don't know how that would work. I would be so paranoid that the smallest, dumbest thing could trip me up. And then what are you going to do? So I remember in the Big Brother house at one point, I told Nick, and there were a couple other people in the HOH room while I was talking, and I said something about my oil company. I didn't mean that I owned the oil company. I just said my oil company is in the company I work for. But I walked out of there thinking, oh, great, I just screwed up. These guys all are going to think that I'm like some T. Boone Pickens or something that owns an oil well. The Bass Brothers. I'm just a multi-billionaire oil company. I'm Jed Clampett in the flesh. Yeah, no, that's not me. I'm just an engineer. But I said that, and I thought, well, do I go back and say, hey, just to correct, I don't own the oil company. It's just, but I thought, no, the more I bring attention to it, the worse it's going to be. I'm just going to have to hope that they either didn't catch it or didn't understand it or understand that that's not what I meant. But I spent a day or two paranoid about that people were going to make some assumptions about me just because of one little stupid thing I said. I can only imagine on the traitors that it gets even worse. I think the key to traitors would be recognizing that you may occasionally say something kind of boneheaded. So you need to always make sure there's a bigger target out there than yourself. That, I may have accidentally said this, but what did they say? They're the ones you ought to be worried about. Yeah, I'd have a blast being a traitor and just kind of going full blown with it and see what we could have. I'd be the most devious traitor you could possibly imagine. I'd burn the people that were closest to me, and I'd go into that little castle room upstairs every night. Just I'd have the most evil grin on my face, the most evil laugh. I'd be a Snidely Whiplash from start to finish and have a blast doing it. You got to have fun with the game, right? Yeah, it'd be fun. I'd do either one, but being a traitor would be pretty cool. All right, Terry's saying, excited for Big Brother, but hope it's better mix of ages. Yeah, here you go. I agree with that. This season, half over 30 years old would be great. Would be super feeds or the content it would create. Oh yeah, they did a better job last season with a little bit more disparity of ages. There was so much talk about diversity of everyone coming in. And they've done a great job from a ethnicity standpoint, but from an age standpoint, and even from a geographic standpoint, I'm not sure that's necessarily always the case. The more variation they can get, the better in terms of ethnicity, age, where you live, what you do for a living. Are you college educated? Are you a seat of your pants making things happen? Find as much variation as you can, and the cast is only going to be better. Because that's what was really exciting for me. Two things. One, people came in assuming certain things about me, which I'd like to think I proved a lot of them wrong. But also getting to interact with a lot of folks that in the real world I would have never interacted with because of age, location, name 10 different characteristics of a person. And there's lots of reasons why I wouldn't have ever had the opportunity to work with some of these people. And that's one of my favorite memories of being on Big Brother. So yeah, as much variation as you can get would be perfect. Let's see what else we've got on here. Hunter saying, what do you think of Destination X? It's so good. And Misfire saying Destination X rules. Ken T saying after the third person is eliminated, you added new people in the bus. I'm hot and cold on Destination X. I love the theme. I guess I'm a little surprised that the answers weren't more or less obvious than they were. And I don't want to give anything away because there may be some people who haven't seen, especially the last episode. But I feel like where they've ended up being on this bus for all 3 episodes so far was very almost in your face to some degree. So I like the rules. I kind of like the cast. I like the way people are having to try to fight and work together. And we saw in one of the episodes a person who was trying to help someone, but they had bad information or bad guesses, which caused their person the person they're trying to help caused them to basically exit stage left or right or whatever, and think they were betrayed when they weren't. It was just a bad mistake. But no, I guess I was thinking they were going to be in the middle of Kazakhstan or in Mongolia or places like that instead of Western Europe, where I feel like if I was playing the game, I probably could figure out where I was very quickly, just based on some of the clues and everything else. So I'm still iffy on it. I don't know. I'll obviously keep on watching it, and I do want to see how this turns out and where they end up going. I like the format of it. I just was expecting a little more exotic, and maybe Western Europe just isn't. I mean, I've seen too many seasons of The Amazing Race because Western Europe doesn't hit me as exotic enough compared to what I was thinking I was going to be. So yeah, I'm somewhere in between right now, but I'm going to keep on watching it because it's I do have some fun with watching. It's just a new concept. Even little things like we saw one episode, Jeffrey Dean Cooper, that's his name, right? Negan from Walking Dead. He was laughing because two people were trying to remember a routine of bells, and they had very different ways to remember. One guy is trying to make up a huge story based on every bell and its color, its symbol on it. He's got this whole story he's going through. The woman's saying, yeah, just remember it. Just hit this, and this. And Jeffrey Dean Cooper's laughing, whatever gets you there, go for it. So yeah, I enjoy watching it. We'll see how that thing turns out. Let's see what else we've got. Patricia Miller saying June 20th marks 50 years of Jane. Jaws, Jane. Yeah, not quite as famous a scary show as was Jane. Watch out, she's coming. No, 50 years of Jaws. They're going to release in theaters August 29th, September 4th. Oh my gosh. And Karen saying, left Jaws covered in Coke and popcorn. The person in front of me got scared and tossed their drink in the popcorn. I could see that. Our 50 years. So that's 1975. That seems about right. I was 10 years old. I remember, I feel like it was the 4th of July. That's when they had the big summer blockbusters. I remember going to that theater, not really understanding just how scary it was. I think we knew, yeah, it's a story about a shark that attacks people, but I don't know. We went to that thing. Oh my gosh, the way that starts, think of a day and age where no one knew the dun 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 dun. That didn't mean anything to anyone. I remember sitting in there scared to death. There's one scene where the boat tips over and a head comes rolling out of a window and they're underwater, and I screamed and hollered. That was quite the movie. That got my attention. I will remember seeing that in the theater for absolutely forever. I'm amazed that I have ever scuba dived or done anything in the open waters because of that freaking show. It was yeah, I remember. We may have to go see that in the theaters. It's such a classic, such an absolute classic. One of my favorite scenes from that whole movie, and the shark, incredible. Did you know the shark was supposed to be in the show a lot more, and they had mechanical problems, so they couldn't show the shark very often. And I think it made it much scarier. It worked out to Steven Spielberg's advantage. One of my favorite parts is it Quigley, the old guy, the old boat captain, telling the story about the USS Indianapolis being shipwrecked or being sunk in World War II, and all his buddies floating around. Just occasionally one of them disappears from the sharks. It's a true story. What happened, and so scary. It's such a storytelling moment to see that. So yeah, I love me some Jaws. It's been 50 years. All right, I'm glad they're bringing some of those shows back in the theaters, because some of those shows don't do justice without seeing them on the big screen. 8 o'clock. All right, we're gonna shut down. Let's see if there's anything else real quick. Tommy Braskett saying, do you get a pen or pencil? You don't get anything. When I said happy birthday to my son, I spelled out happy birthday Dan or happy B-Day Dan using grains of rice on a piece of cardboard. Now later, people started using. We had some scrunchies, or not scrunchies. I don't know what they are. Some kind of little juice drinks, Kool-Aid type stuff, and they would mix those with water, and they could then write, and that would create a stain on cardboard, so they could write like that. But now I did no pen, no pencil. I used grains of rice. At one point, I poured a bunch of talcum powder into the bottom of an ice chest, and then wrote in the talcum powder, trying to remember a bunch of bird calls. They called me out for it. I got in trouble for it. I just had to erase it, and it was fine. But yeah, no writing instruments of any sort while you're in there. And that's a big no-no. Don't carry them in, nothing. So yeah, you gotta watch out for that. All right, real quick, we'll do one last one, then we'll get here. Ken T saying, "Oh, what's the key wheel?" Clinton, watch out. What's this? What's a key wheel? And Clinton, watch out for what doors key open. Oh yeah, that's interesting, Clinton. Yeah, I could be up for that. See, wouldn't that be cool if you got a key and it either opens something good or something bad? It's up to you. I know, we'll see. Kenty, well, real quick, what the key wheel is. Giant wheel. Everyone's keys are in there except for the two people who are nominated. And so in the HOA, in the eviction ceremony, not eviction, the nomination ceremony, the HOH person turns the first key, said, "Oh, Nicole, you're safe." Nicole says, "Thank you. Thank you, Jessica." She turns the key, says, "Cliff, you're safe." "Oh, thank you, Nicole," or "Thank you, Jessica." And each person turns their key, and once they've been picked as safe, then they turn the next key. The next person is safe. So suddenly there's like three people left, and there's only one key left. And so you know that one person still has a key that's going to be safety, which means the other two people do not have keys, which means they've been nominated for the week. So instead of just going up and turning two little boxes saying, "I nominated you, I nominated you," it's a little bit more drawn out procedure. It's what they do. And that's a key wheel. I don't know when they stopped doing that. Season 16, 17, something like that. But that when they stopped doing, a lot of people have complained ever since then. But I think it's just trying to tighten the episodes and all that. But I'd love to have it come back. All right, guys, with that, it's a little after 8. I think we're going to go ahead and shut down. What was this? Stacy saying, "Do you see Julie live? It seems like it could be recorded." No, we see her live. Well, we don't see her live. We see her on the screen in the living room. She's out in the front part of the studio with a live audience. So we do get to talk to her live. We see her on the screen, but it's not like she's in the house itself. When we're doing the voting in the diary room, she is saying, "Hey, Cliff, how are you doing? Hi, Julie." We don't see her then either. We just hear her voice. So all of that is live, but we don't actually get to see her live. She's on the other side of the wall. So, all right, with that, guys, we're going to shut it down. Thank you so much. I hope y'all have a fantastic week. I'll be back next Monday. We'll see what rumors start between then and now. Finish up by saying, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, big old thumbs up. Guys, y'all have a great one. And I'll truly finish up with that SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love you guys, and I love Big Brother. Guys, y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all next Monday. Hey, send me some DMs if there's anything y'all want to talk about next week. But until then,